Hello swimmers! I've seen in the comments on my YouTube videos that many of you still have questions about how the hip is the main engine in propulsion. How is it possible that the hip makes us swim faster? How is it that the hip doesn't have obvious paddles like the arms or hand? It projects us forward and increases our swim speed. So, I've prepared this video format a little more informally, as if I were explaining for one of my students in a personalized training session. So, stay with me until the end. This video will be very rich in information. I am Rafa Soriano, and this is Efficient Swimming. The first thing you need to know is that everything is connected. Everything works as a single integrated movement. It's just like walking. When we make a step, the whole body acts in the same way to execute the action or the movement that we are proposing. So for everything to work, the input arm, the input hand, and the arm in front that is going to grab need to act together. Why? When we anchor the grip arm and transfer the weight with the other arm, it's the hip that projects the body. And now I'm going to show you the best way possible. To connect everything, the arm has to go forward until it stretches. The arm has to stretch the dorsal. We can't do a recovery where the entry is disconnected. It's not just coming in here, but I have to get to where my elbow can't do it anymore, so that all the weight transfers forward and we can connect the dorsal. Here we would be with all the arm musculature connected to our hip. And at this moment, when we come in and project our body, the whole body works as a unit moving forward. So, at this very moment, the grasping arm also executes a similar action where the hip is connected to it. By having this arm well stretched out, what we are doing here is anchoring ourselves in the water as we are projecting the arm or the body with the input, and everything works as a chain that is completed. Now, I'll illustrate a little bit with some rubber bands that I've prepared. I'll put them here on my hip. It's anchored to my hip. And this works kind of like this. I have a video that explains something similar in a different way, but it's the same thing. So you're going to understand a little bit better. When I make an entry, when my recovery is not good, a recovery where we block the arm here and we just move the forearm and we make this entry here. There's no connection in the input arm. This musculature here is not connected to the hip, to the body. But when I get my elbow well forward here, I get to activate, hold this tension in the hip. Here now there is a muscular tension here, a muscular connection that when I enter the water, the hip moves with me. When I enter here, the musculature, the arm itself is causing my hip to rotate and project my full weight forward. That's the common effect, the effect of a skater. Now follow the concept with me. Once we come in and stretch everything, the same thing will be happening on the other side. Because when we're coming in, we're also grabbing. And there's the key, because if this arm goes in and stretches well and stays stretched, we are still connected. So we would be entering, for example, with this arm in the same way, connected, but now we're seeing the rubber on the grasping arm. And here, when I go in, the hip, the rotation, is initiating the movement for me. The hip is making it easier for me to grab. When you grab somewhere, if we grab from a railing, for example, we can project our body with much more power than if we do it free. On land, it is very easy to do this. On land, for example, a batter connects the whole movement. A batter, for example, before batting, when the ball is thrown to him, a baseball batter, he compresses the movement, rolls backwards, arming the energy in the hip while seeking support on the ground. so that he can then apply the hip. Apply the turn with the hip and only at the end hit the ball and project all the energy. Although the arm movement is the most obvious, all the main movement has come from the hip. The same happens when we are swimming, but as we are in a liquid medium, everything seems much more complicated. It is very difficult for us to feel this enclado. That is why it is very important to understand that the hand is the part of the arm that we are most sensitive to. It is where we look for grip all the time, because it is where we feel the most. But a good grip is made with the whole arm. We have much more support surface in the forearm and arm than in the hand itself. So, when we are gripping, what we are really looking for is not a push with the hand. It is a push with the whole arm. It is a support with the whole arm, and anchoring. We need to feel that the hand anchors, the forearm anchors, and the arm anchors as well. From here at this moment, when I'm projecting everything, what I'm doing with the other side is with the grasping arm, is just looking for support so that this connection and this projection from the hip will propel me forward. So, when I work with my students in training, I make them perceive that the rotation is the most important thing, so that they value it and learn how it works. What I do is inhibit their rotation with a material. I don't know if you have ever seen it. This is a belt with some side flaps. It's quite simple. You put it around your waist and it limits your rotation. They also limit the exit of the hand at the end of the grip above the body. Cesar Chiello, Olympic champion, is a big fan of this type of equipment. These side fins do not break frontally. You can see that they are hydrodynamic from the front, but swimmers, when they use it, feel that they have a rotation inhibition. It limits your rotation. It helps us with two things. One, strengthening the core and lumbar muscles, the whole pelvic belt, because we have to make a little bit of effort to be able to rotate the body. But here we notice a very important thing. Swimmers who go fast, when they put this belt on, they start to swim much slower. The belt slows them down. If you're a swimmer who does 15, 16 strokes per length, when you put the belt on, you go up to 22 strokes. What happens here? You can't glide. You can't swim fast because you have a rotational limitation. It's a great way to demonstrate that a little side fin inhibits you from speed, from moving forward, from sliding. The help of this stuff basically works by making a contrast to say that rotation is the most important thing to get both speed and glide. So once we removed the side flaps, the hip, like all the time, had to make this effort to be able to rotate. By removing it, we feel the body free, and the rotation of the body after using it is much more evident. We can perceive it better, so we manage to generate more speed. It is a contrast material. It is more than anything to know, and to be able to make the student or the swimmer value the rotation. So we have to look for rotation with everything. A rotation with the arm coming in helps us to rotate, and for that it needs to be connected with the movement. We have to make a good recovery. We have to have good support here and support looking for us here. We look for rotation also with the grip. The grip is not pushing something back, it's not pushing down, it's not doing an S, it's simply anchoring the arm. And as I project and rotate my hip, this arm would be in a support with the opposite direction. In a support with the opposite direction of the forward direction. And here at the end, we do complete a little bit using the triceps, pushing a little bit here at the end so that we can then come back and link a new stroke. So if you want to swim faster, the hip is the prime mover. It's the one that sets the pace. If you want to move faster and have a faster swim pace, the hip is the one that has to move faster. Not the arms go ahead of the hips. The hips are in charge of the movement we make. The grip, we are looking for support. The entry, we are looking for an extension, a connected entry of arm entry and exit, all as if it were a single integrated movement. Those are ways of being able to make the swimmer feel what needs to be done. I hope I have been able to clarify a little bit how this propulsion from the hip works. It's a bit tricky, complicated, because it depends not only on the movement we make, the position we adopt, but also on the feeling we have when we grip. We cannot move faster than the body is moving forward. It's a more sensitive issue. We'll talk a lot more about this in more detail in an upcoming tutorial that I'm already preparing. We'll talk about the swing bar sensors. We'll see results from the sensors, how they work, how they capture all the movement that we're doing. They calculate the force applied. If we're doing downward force, sideways, we'll find out that S-shaped strokes are very ineffective. They don't work. We also want the grip with the support, with the high elbow, how it works centimeter by centimeter every step, every movement that we have to do. So check your subscription, see if you have the little bell on, so that when I upload this video, you get the notification and you can watch it right away. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video and in the comments. So I will not rest until you are an efficient swimmer.